Hi, this is Charlotte Pierce. I'm with the Independent Publishers of New England and Pierce Press. I'm an indie publisher in the Boston area, and I have some of my colleagues and a few new people on the panel today. I hope people will ask questions in the event page so that we can know what's on your mind and help you get your books and your book business off and running. I know there's a lot of great ideas and great books and great writing out there that if we can help you bubble it up to the surface on Google Plus or another platform, that's what we're here for. So please let us know, join us today or at a future indie office hours. We have every Tuesday at 2 p.m. That's the current time. If that's difficult for you, just shoot us an email or private message and let us know when another time would be, and we can try and experiment a little bit with the time zones and stuff. But anyway, we are really excited. IPNE is gearing up for its first ever book awards, which will be awarded at the conference in April in Southbridge, Massachusetts. Kitty will tell us a little bit more about that. And then when everybody's introductions are done, we'll go out and maybe cruise around a little bit on Google Plus and show you where some of the author and publisher information can be found. So let me introduce, first of all, a new friend. Just really happy to have met her, Gail Harris. She's an author, and we're working on her to be a member of IPNE, but she's around here too.
Charlotte. As you said, I am an author and the mother of a 10-year-old boy, and among many other topics, I write about parenting, self-love, and intuition, and how those topics are very much related. The name of my blog is White Bread Wisdom, and it actually came out of an aha moment that I had with my son and what I learned at the time. I find there's always so much to learn in this life. My first book teaches you how to trust your intuition by learning how to distinguish it from your thoughts and that inner chatter that we have running around inside our heads, and people call it a Bible for self-love. And my next book, which will be out in the fall, is a memoir. It's actually a whole other animal, a memoir that I co-wrote with a woman named Brandy Harris, who is deaf and a former Miss Deaf America. And this actually tells her story. It's all about her journey to self-acceptance and to finding her daughter, who she adopted, who's also deaf. It's a story about fulfilling your destiny. And we're really excited. Marley Matlin has written the foreword to the book.
Wow.
And I'm really looking forward to speaking to you about it on Thursday.
Yeah, you'll be a guest on Face the Book TV on Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern.
Great, and it's great to be here too. Thanks.
Will Brandy be available for that show too?
Well, it looks like she's going to be in the audience. She did say, because I checked, it did say that she'll be there. So we're going to have to wing that. We'll have to see how it goes. If she's there, how it's going to work is that her kids, Brandy, she has 3 hearing sons and 1 deaf daughter who she adopted, and that's who the story, well, partly what the story is about. There's so many levels to the story, and that's what we'll be talking about on Thursday. So she has Zoe, who's deaf, and 3 hearing boys, because she was actually born hearing, so she didn't have that deaf gene. Her husband comes from 4 generations of deaf family. He's deaf, his parents are deaf, his grandparents are deaf, and his great-grandparents are deaf. So when their first son was born, it was the first hearing child in Tim's family in 125 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was really amazing. Really, it's an amazing story. I mean, I'm going to talk more about this on Thursday, but I've never known a deaf person. I'd never known a deaf person before, and just it's amazing. Anyway, so hopefully one of her sons will be able to interpret for her while we're all speaking, and then hopefully, I could ask her a question, and he could communicate with us. She can certainly type it in. We'll have to see how it goes.
Cool. Well, we look forward to. I know you have some authorpreneurial instincts as well, so we'll get back to that as soon as we get through the introductions. Thanks.
Yep.
Kitty.
Yes.
Your name and serial number, please.
1, 2, 3. Oh, I'm Kitty Warner. I'm now the executive director of IPNE, and I'm also a publisher and I guess authorpreneur, having published my first book, self-published, if you will, after establishing Really Savvy Broads Press, RSB Press, in 2001, and sold out the first 3 printings of The Savvy Woman's Guide to Owning a Home, and started doing. I was told at the time you're not allowed to use specific gender in the title, like Savvy Woman. You can't do things like that. And I said, oh yeah, it's my book, so I did it. And now if you look online, you see everybody else and their uncle's using Savvy somebody. So yeah, you can make changes, I guess.
Savvy, there's Savvy Mommy and
oh God, Savvy Traveler. In fact, that guy went to my high school.
There's even Scary Mommy. Did you
yeah, and there's Clever or whatever. They're just, everybody's doing it now, so I guess you can break molds.
You're a groundbreaking person, Kitty, so.
Yeah, there you are, groundbreaking. I know, I have a garden out back. You want to see how much garden we've broken?
Kitty lives in Vermont. She's like a confirmed Vermonter.
Yeah, although I'm from D.C. area, so.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was originally a flatlander.
Well,
sorry.
You converted well.
Yeah, I know. I really like it up here, having lived in London and in Germany.
Yeah, you have quite an international family. But
yeah, we do.
You have RSB.
Yeah, and the Distinction Press.
Yeah.
Where I publish other people's work as well as one I just did on my mother's mother's hot affair with an English conductor. Sir Granville Bantock, 1936, 1940, and it's pretty wild.
That's the one I'm going to order. I have to get that book.
Yeah, it's pretty hot stuff. He was quite the character.
What is that like? It's early 19th century or
1936 to 1940, and the only reason the affair ended was technically speaking, World War II. He couldn't get out of England anymore, but he went around 1938. In the fall of 38, he did a 9-month tour around the world by ship just so he could see her for 2.5 weeks.
Cool.
And funny enough, after that 2 weeks in Sapphire, North Carolina, they decided she wasn't his wife anymore. He didn't refer to her as my little wife.
That's tragic.
So I'm not sure what happened there, but whatever. It was kind of entertaining.
Yeah, that's really neat that you put
My
that
Dear
together.
Rogue.
My Dear Rogue, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go to introduce Tanya, who's coming back from she's coming back for more after last week.
So I'm probably the only person on this panel who isn't an author per se. I'm a freelance editor, and I work with independent authors and small publishers on manuscripts and on technical content as well.
Mm-hmm. Lives in the Boston area as well.
Yes.
And we do developmental editing?
Developmental editing, copy editing, proofreading, general feedback.
Okay.
Yep.
What would you consider what you did for my author's book series?
That I would consider more of a developmental edit as well, alongside some feedback.
Yeah, so it wasn't like line by line wording. It was more of a content
There are a lot of
approach.
different levels of developmental editing, and this one was the one that I did for you, Charlotte, was a very in-depth developmental edit, but also because it was a very short. It's a chapter book, so it's a short manuscript.
For reading level for second and third. But I was blown away by just the insight that you provided. That was just a great learning experience for me. So.
No, I'm glad. Thank you.
Matthew's our favorite mid-central Massachusetts
Your only
constitutional Democrat.
Thank you. Yeah. I started out in publishing, making books. I was living out of my van, and people were asking me what I was writing, and so I didn't like answering that question, so I made little books, and they were folding books, and then they were fancier because I met bookmakers, and then and it was slave work. You know, I was making more beautiful books, but I was selling them really cheaply. And then I got an order for some books, and I thought I'd sent back the check, and the woman said, no, you didn't send back the check, so I ended up having to do it anyway. And that's when I just realized I was in the wrong business. I had to figure something else out. And
yeah.
And
So what is a constitutional democracy born again person?
oh, thank you. A constitutional democracy born again person is a publisher who's realized he has to figure out how to make books in a regular way, cheaply, so that all that. It's about the first sentence and a dictionary, and it's about something also that the founders told us about, how reading the first sentence strictly would protect us if we read it strictly, better than a Bill of Rights. And the really amazing part is not only did they tell us this, which is just a bald-faced claim, they explained it, but so succinctly that we actually had to look those words up too to understand it. And it's really an incredibly beautiful, close read on an amazingly beautiful sentence, and it's legal, and it's common sense, and it's been an exhausting effort.
As your contact on IPNE, I'd like a report on how you've been doing with your writing.
Say it again?
You said as your contact on IPNE, I'd like a report on how you're doing with your writing progress.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I promise.
You said you were buried in writing the other day.
I have resolved, you know, I disappeared over the, pretty much just before the Christmas or something, to realizing, wow, I'm loving meeting all these people, but my book's not done. So I tried, you know, desperately, as I do every day. I wake up and I work on it, but it's a very, you know, in a way it's legally, so it's very sophisticated, and it needs to be made, and I need to understand it, which is hard, then it needs to be made simple. So those challenges and you know, a huge amount of. Have
you identified your audience? I mean, do you have a specific audience?
See, that's what my audience is, an intelligent layperson.
Adult.
In the past, when I was writing, one of my audiences, especially when I wrote this way really reasonably, was men and some women in their 20s and early 30s. It's the joy of connecting the dots, kind of. You know, I think the word, actually, the literal word is algebra, which comes from Arabic, and it means healing the bones.
Well, I could use some of that here. I've got my
well,
cast.
bravo.
You want to see my cast?
Oh no, not those bones!
Anyway, we wish you much luck, Matthew, and look forward to reading that when you get going on it. It's really
getting there.
Yeah, good.
It's really getting there. And well, I love the idea that I get to write you a report. Somebody out there.
Or you can just show up on office hours and you can report in for the world to know.
See, I'm fascinated by the writing process and what I'm learning about writing and rewriting, and wanting to streamline that process, because this has been so arduous, and understand it in order to streamline it. So maybe we could have a conversation about how we write, if people like.
Yeah, I think that would be a good topic. Today, I have Gail's website up on a screen share, which I will show. Do you have is this going to be part of the design for the cover, Gail?
No, not at all. As a matter of fact, my website will be changing any day, and we do have a cover now for the new book. I actually emailed it to you earlier this morning.
Oh, okay. Let me see if I can get.
Because I wasn't sure how to. I'm still so new on this Google Plus block,
right.
And I thought maybe you could help me with that. But the cover is awesome. It's a really great cover. It's still going to be tweaked a little bit, but we've got the concept in.
So on the event page right here.
Yep.
That's where you add photos, and you can add that any time in the next, 200 years, I think.
Oh, okay. So I just drag it in. Great.
Yeah,
okay, so
optimism. Beautiful.
Yeah. Well,
Right on.
Why
I'm
not?
with you.
So anyway, we have Gail's website. Thank you. What else? How did you? I know, Gail, you're a marketing you have marketing experience. Did you think
Right.
about that when you were thinking about the title and the cover and choosing your co-author, or she chose you, I guess?
She chose me.
Mm-hmm.
The marketing came in very much when I was writing the book. That was, I wrote the book for the market. Fortunately, that really fit with the story that I wanted to write. It all seemed to come together, so that worked beautifully. In terms of the title, it's really interesting because I mean, I've been working on this project for 5 years. And for 5 years, I was trying to come up with the perfect title. And I thought that it was going to happen. I thought that eventually, like one day, it would be like, aha, that's it. That's the title. And it never happened. And I think part of the issue with this book is that it's about so many different things. There are so many stories within the stories, and then there's the stories behind the story, which I'll be talking more about on Thursday. But every time I came up with a title, there was another market that wasn't, that wasn't being addressed. And actually, so with our first publisher, this is really interesting. The original title of the book was Butterfly's Sign. And how we came to that is because butterflies are actually deaf. So that's part of why we came up with that. And then signing, so the first publisher, because we had a contract with one publisher and then that didn't work out, so we got a different publisher. And the first publisher actually really liked that title. And it's kind of vague. And then when we hooked up with Rita Cork, Charlotte, who is our publicist, she just hated the title. She said, I'm going to go to Good Morning America, and I'm going to try and get Brandy on the show, and they're going to say to me, Butterfly Sign, what the heck does that mean? I mean, she really hated the title. And then when we signed the contract with our current publisher now, who is Ben Bella Books, right off the bat, they said, it's too confusing. So we sent 5 years worth of titles that myself and Brandy and our publicist Rita Cork, and then we also have a deaf publicist as well, David. We all sent these titles, and somewhere along the way, Finding Zoe, which actually is the title of the book, was somewhere in that list for of 5 years. And as a matter of fact, Brandy's son came. Everybody was trying to come up with a title, and Brandy's son came up with the title, and he said, it's like Finding Nemo, Finding Zoe. And the publisher.
That's a great, yeah.
The publisher.
Yeah, I like
that resonates with people. Yeah, we should have a show on titles like brainstorming. Like if for authors that are seeking a good title, we could get together and do a pedagogical brainstorm.
I'm having a huge problem with that, and I'm hoping that when the book is written, the title will pop out. But it's,
I think it's like. Yeah, it's like when your baby is born or your baby comes home, as in a case of an adopted baby. It's kind of like clear, almost, what their name should be.
Good.
But, when you get a title, when you come up with a title for a book, so much goes into it because there's so much. This is a marketing issue. This is not about coming up with a pretty title and a title that sounds good. And the reason why Ben Bella Books wanted to go with Finding Zoe is because 3 things. One, see, we are targeting the mainstream audience, but we have a deaf niche. I mean, the deaf market is a deaf niche, and in a way, that's, they feel confident that the deaf market is going to buy up this book. And in terms of mainstream, that's who we're actually targeting. I mean, Brandy she actually feels more comfortable speaking to hearing audiences than she does to deaf audience, or she enjoys it more. Mm-hmm. But Ben Bella felt that we have to target the deaf market, and so Finding Zoe, when you see the design, the Zoe has a hand sign of Z. So I mean, you have to see the cover with the wording as well. But it addressed the deaf market, it addressed the memoir market, and it addressed the moms market, and it also, to a lesser extent, addressed the the spiritual, the seekers market. And I think they're right. I think they're right on. As a matter of fact, the editor from Ben Bella, when she said the title, she said it has a sticky quality to it. And I know what she means. It sticks with you. Finding Zoe.
Have you
So
gone
I'm thrilled.
over? Have you gone over to any other to look for any other books that are finding, finding someone? Is there much overlap out there?
To be honest with you, I didn't, because by the time we got to Finding Zoe,
You weren't going to change it anyway.
I was like done. I mean, I was doing this for 5 years, and they were set on it. I mean, they were like, that was something they didn't even want to talk about it. They were really clear, and I said, hey, I'm so glad this is not only my problem, that I had some help. For 4 years, it was me alone coming up with the title in my book, sitting in my office for 4 years. What's the title? What's the title? I was so nice to have somebody else make the decision. So
Tanya, wasn't it Mitchell Bragg who was talking about your title can't be copyrighted, right? Isn't that
right?
I think the book. You mean as opposed to the book?
Yeah, the content of the book. The title is, that's why you find books with the same title out there.
That's true. As a matter of fact, there is another book, Finding Zoe, because Brandy found that. Mm-hmm. And I'm trying to remember, our publisher was not concerned about that at all, and I'm trying to remember, I can't remember why. Maybe it was just...
I think if it were a book about a deaf girl being adopted, it would be a problem, but if...
Right, no, it was a completely different
it's like
circle.
A hat or something, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. But do you ever deal with helping people choose titles, Tanya?
I have, yes, yeah. And also we... in one of the recent books, there was I put together a list of different titles for people of different options, and really going into, and the title is, like you were saying, Gail, it's so important in terms of the marketing that it's really important to get it right. We had one of the authors, the one that's actually submitted for the IPNE Awards, Kitty, Blessed and Cursed Alike. We had a really long discussion about the spelling of the word blessed, the BLESSED versus using blessed, BLEST, and the implications of trying to make something seem more arcane versus more contemporary. It's really, really interesting conversations about, and into a lot of detail about, maybe 3 to 4 words.
Oh, absolutely. Every word. Yeah,
I'm sure you experienced that a lot, Gail.
Yes.
Yeah.
I had an interesting one on a book I just did that came out last April. She walked for all of us, and Charlotte's actually met Louise Brune, who's now 82 years old, but when she was 40, she walked from her home in Newton, Massachusetts, down to the Capitol steps to just literally tell Congress to stop the Vietnam War. She got a little tired of it, and she's a Quaker and quite the activist. So she did it, and she came to me with her manuscript, and it was incredible writing.
Wow.
And she wanted to call it all kinds of weird things, and I said, no. Literally, one of her friends, who turned out to be someone from the Valley previously, described it really well. She said, she walked for all of us. We all wanted to say stop the war in Vietnam. So that's what I kept insisting. That's what we have to call it. And she, oh, no, let's call it something else. And let's do this. No, Louise, you walked for all of us. And let's put it that way, right out there. And I won in the end. And that's what we called it.
It's a great title.
Yeah, I think so. It's a hell of a book.
Well, the person that came up with the Savvy Woman's Guide to Owning a Home is, I think you get the...
That's mine. I came up with that. It was really going to be, so now that you own a home, what are you going to do with it? And then that didn't go anywhere, and I thought, oh hell, let's just call it A Savvy Woman's Guide to Owning a Home. And Regula, who was my agent at the time, said, I like that. Think internet, rewrite. So I did, and she tried to sell it, got it to a little place over in Portland, Oregon. And they were going under, and they were going to have, my title was going to save them. And they designed this cover that was a bunch of brown tools with a little brown thing with the yellow in the middle that says Savvy Woman's Guide to Owning a Home. And I said, no, this really sucks. Give me my rights back, because they were failing anyway. So this is what I did with it.
You got it? We have about 5 more minutes, and I wanted to
Okay,
show. Yeah,
come on.
go ahead. I got you.
Let's see if it
Nice.
shows.
Savvy woman.
Yeah.
So you like that cover?
So I got a girlfriend who does art. She does watercolors. And
I like it.
that's her painting.
I like it.
And I just thought of that one night, and it was Gail Kump of, she was in with Midpoint Trade and kept saying, Kitty, no, you got to really do something with the cover. Come on. And she's the one who kicked my butt and got me, and then one night it just kind of came to me, what is it that people really want to see on a cover? What woman wants to play with tools? This is a home maintenance. This is how your house works and what you need to do to be responsible for it. I thought, well,
it's a nod to the kind of visual sensitivity of women.
Yeah. What's everybody's dream home? The little stone cottage full of flowers.
Yeah.
Right? The little English cottage, and there's a painting of the Fisk farm.
Nobody's standing in the front yard with a wrench?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, those are inside.
I wanted to kind of, we're going to wrap up here in about 5 minutes, but I wanted to show people around some of the author sites, or sites that are good for authors to know about on Google+. If anybody has a request, I will put it on. But first of all, let me see if I can get this.
Cool. And then I would like to share an experience that had happened to me last week. I attended a webinar with Danny IPNE, who said, this is how you do it, as far as how you get into the book business. And, yeah.
Who is IPNE? Danny?
He's a guy who lives in Montreal, who I found out about through a guy named John Egan, who I ended up on his website, on his mailing list. And John Egan is like in the business of helping people, saying you can write your book right this week, and you can sell it next week, and you can have, and the whole idea is that you get clients by writing books. And it's sort of the new age green industry, like social conscience industries. It's like it's people who are working to plug into that market. Danny IPNE was his guest, John Egan's guest, and that's how I found out about this. And Danny IPNE is some sort of star because he's written up in Forbes and all these places. He's grown very quickly his business from zero to
is that a person who
$128,000 to $628,000 a year, sort of thing. Yeah, and is that person what?
Is he? He's not one of those sort of scammy.
Well, you see, yes. Now I don't know a lot of these people very well, but that side, there's the package, and then there's what's in it.
Right.
There's the package that you go, okay, more money, please. You're going to need this, you're going to need this. But
I think that one thing I would caution people about is, join a group like IPNE. There are regional organizations. We're nonprofits. We aren't in the business to make money. When we put on a conference, the board members don't even get a free ticket, So we are out there to find the most cost-effective way for independent authors and publishers to get their books noticed and done and look like good quality and all that. So
be professional.
Be professional. Yeah, it's amazing when you have we have this awards contest coming up, and how many book covers have you seen that could use a little help, Kitty?
Yeah, yeah, and the pages if you just maybe made the type a little smaller or something, I don't know what it is. It's little things.
And sometimes people think, well, I have Publisher or I have InDesign and I can do it myself, and that's kind of how I think. I think.
Me too. I try to do as much as I can.
Yeah, but I learned from Random House. I did 6 books for Random House.
Yeah.
Bravo.
Yeah, they beat me up and said, well, you had to learn real quick. And I worked in a computer store, so I learned Ventura Gold to PageMaker to InDesign.
Yeah.
So I've been on computers since 1982.
We're going to be talking some more about this if you don't mind.
Sure, go right ahead.
Yeah,
you know how to contact me.
Yeah, well, we don't have a whole lot of time to go into other places on Google Plus, but I think just the thing I'd like to say is that as an author, I mean, former author, my books, I was a co-author on my first one, and then now I've gone into the publisher role. I don't really enjoy writing as much. I like to produce them, and I like to discover them and talk to people like Rita, and you know, so. But I think Google Plus for me there's just so many people. If you lead with your passions and interests, which I have done on Google Plus and just in general in life, but you'll find a lot of people who can help you and want to help you. And that's why IPNE is on Google Plus and doing this show, because we, there's so many cool people out there. There's, like Rita, I was telling Rita that if she lived next door in my neighborhood, we'd be best friends. I mean, it's just amazing, the minds and the information you get from
Well, I've
Google
met
Plus.
you and Louise. Louise came to me for help for something else, and we ended up doing her book. And the same with most of the people I have on my list.
And I can't wait to get Louise over here. She is like, I was telling someone on Google.
Little dynamo.
She is like, I looked into her eyes, and I saw wisdom and a friend, and just the perkiest. She's 80-something, right?
She's 82. She'll be 83
I want
soon.
to be like her. She's my role model. It was amazing how comfortable she is in her own skin, and there are gems like that.
Here's Louise.
Oh yes, thank you. I was going to get that up, but oh yeah, so that's her in 1971.
Yep.
On the road, Bruyne. Look for this book,
Louise Bruin.
Yeah. So it's currently being published, right?
It was out just about a year ago, 10 months ago.
So
amazing book.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, does anybody else have anything to add about the business of publishing? And
I do. I want to just tell you very quickly, because you don't have to talk to Danny IPNE to get the basics. And I thought what he said was important, and it made a lot of sense. And it starts out by saying, okay, build your audience first.
Mm-hmm.
Says you want contact lists. You want people to be looking forward to the book coming out, and then and then you can just think about your own ways to do that. He talked about having a website where people could get on a mailing list, and it was a very simple kind of one-page thing that you would go to, and you could send it to people and people could share it if it looked interesting, and as a way to build a group of people who would be interested right away when the book came out. He went further to say you should find out you should talk to these people, because you should write the book to them, and you should negotiate their concerns in writing the book. That doesn't work at all for me. I hope I've negotiated people's concerns well, but I'm really stuck to staying on topic.
Well, I think if you're out to make money as you can with books, you might.
And that's what it is. It's a very all about money. There are no, there's nothing that, if the money's at the other end, there is nothing that's going to stop this guy from getting through the door or something. I don't know.
Well, we are going to wrap up here. I've apologized to people if you've tuned in and not been able to watch it. I did put the YouTube link on there, but when I started the Hangout this way, I didn't have a broadcast button, so I went to YouTube and got the link from there, or started the Hangout from there. It's kind of complicated. They change it every week. So anyway, it will be available on YouTube, and we appreciate everyone coming. Kitty, any final words about our fabulous conference coming up, or the?
Well, you can hear my dog barking in the background, so I'm not sure you want to hear me talk, but the conference is going to be, all the information is up on the IPNE website. I put a link up there to it on the chat. And hope everyone can come because it's really going to be a cool conference. It's going to be pretty wild. We've got some great names coming. And
yeah, we have a terrific time. And there's on Friday night, there's a pool tournament too. So
yes, and I won last time with Steve Carlson. So
I had to go to bed. That was the night they had they caught the marathon bomber.
Yeah, that was cool. He interrupted my shot.
I'm sorry. All right, thanks you all. We'll see you next time, and Gail, we'll see you on Thursday night at 8.
Yep, very much looking forward to
Charlotte,
it.
you want to hang out for one more minute?
What's that?
Charlotte, you want to hang out for one more minute? I can update you.
All right,
Hold on
bye,
a second.
everyone.
I'm gonna.
Hey, great to meet you. And
Good to
great
meet you all.
Tanya.
Bye-bye.
Fantastic.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks. See you
Thanks,
soon.
Charlotte.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.